Hi guys, my name's Nikki and welcome back to Yougo Camping. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 10 things that I always take camping with me, regardless of the weather or where I'm going. These are always in my bag or in my camping box or in my car. So I've got lots of different things here and none of them are more important than any others. So I'm just going to dive straight into it and hopefully this list will be really helpful to all of you. So one of the very first things on my list is a fire extinguisher. I'm really quite serious about fire safety when it comes to camping, only because we've been on a campsite where there was a fire and some injuries because of it, and it's really not very nice to witness. And it's only until you witness that you realise most people don't tend to take much to actually help themselves. I was having a conversation with my mum and dad yesterday and all they have is a water bucket, so hopefully now they've got a fire extinguisher. But I would call a fire extinguisher and a fire bucket, which is what I have here. This is a collapsible one. I'm not going to collapse it all the way because it's actually got water in it, but this is a collapsible one here, and as you can see there's the water in the fire bucket. Obviously when I'm properly camping this will be full. These are great though because they pack down very easily and you can fit them in most cars and you can even fit them in backpacks, so I'd 100% recommend that. But definitely pick yourself up a fire extinguisher. This is a 1 kilo fire extinguisher. It's a powder one. Powder's probably the most versatile. They're really easy to use. Pop them down, get the pin here, pull it out, and then spray it towards the fire and squeeze the hose. It's that simple. I think it's a really important idea to keep them out so that everyone can see them, and to also teach kids how to use them. So just in case they have to, obviously you hope they don't, but it's better that everyone's confident on how to use it. So sticking with fire for a second, the second thing that I think everyone should take with them is somewhere to stand your gas stove. This is really important because gas stoves can be very dangerous if they're not set properly. So if you're using one of the portable camping stoves, this probably isn't as important to you because they do sit on the grass quite nicely and they are generally quite stable. But if you're using one of these canister stoves, which I personally use quite often, I quite like these. They're, especially if I'm backpacking, I'll take one of these rather than a portable stove. I've got an easy click stove here and I've got a screw top stove here. They both take roughly the same gas. These are both 240 grams, and these stove stands click on, click off like that, nice and simple. You can fold them up and honestly they weigh nothing. You can throw them in your bag and you won't even know it's there. But of course when you do get to your site, just pop your stove on the stand and then you've got somewhere it's a lot more stable for your gas stove to be sitting and for your pot on top of it. This is especially important for these cartridge stands because they do burn really hot and they burn really fast and they're not as easy to put out as an aerosol stove. So I'd get one of these. They're only about £3.50 I think. I'll stick some links below, but they're 100% worth it. So stove stand is my number 2. So we'll stick with keeping things a little bit safe a little bit for number 3. As a lot of people don't carry a first aid kit, which I think is a bit crazy. I personally carry a first aid kit in my bag with me at all times, just because I think it's a responsible thing to do as an adult. I spend a lot of time with my little nephew, who's only 3. So I like to make sure there's always something around for anyone who gets a little cut or anything like that. This one is a High Gear First Aid Kit 1. I've kept most of the bits in it that came in it. I'm actually allergic to plastic plasters, so I had to take them out and swap them out for fabric plasters, and I've also put in a little tube of Savlon there. But when you do get a first aid kit, especially like this, I'd always recommend getting a pouch, especially one that says first aid kit on it. That way if you're incapacitated, somebody else can find it, which is again really important. I think with anything safety wise, if somebody else knows exactly what it is, that's going to be a big bonus. So with these particular kits, they normally come with everything you need in there. So I've just put a few extra bits and pieces in there. And I think it's really important to carry one of these. They don't weigh a lot, they take up a little bit of space, but they can fit in most bags and they can fit in most backpacks. So just carry a first aid kit with you. If you're going away for a few extra days, or if you're going to be doing activities that are a little bit more dangerous, then I'd definitely suggest getting a slightly better first aid kit. But this one gets nicknamed the boo-boo kit because it's got the plasters and the paracetamols in it. So a first aid kit is my number 3. So for number 4, what I would suggest everyone take with them is some kind of table. Now, I don't camp in a really huge tent. I normally stick to tents this kind of size. So what we've gone for is actually one of these. I think these are called bivvy tables, but basically they're just very low to the ground tables. So it means if you're sitting on the grass, this is the perfect level. What's good about a table like this is if you have got one of your gas stoves, you can pop your gas stove on top of it like that. And again, you've got a nice area there to cook with. It depends on you whether or not you want to put your gas stove on the table. We do like to. These also make a great base for solid fuel stoves as well. So when you see us making a nice cup of tea in the solid fuel stove, it'll be on a metal table because that keeps it off the grass. So it means it doesn't burn the grass, and it's also metal, which is a nice material for solid fuel stoves to sit on. These are by no means necessary to carry a table. We've just found it a little bit easier. And if you're into kind of making your tent look a little bit more comfortable at night, these make a lovely bedside table for your cup of tea and your book. So my number 4 is a little table. So number 5 on my list of things to always take with you is some insect repellent. This is by a company called Smidge, and this insect repellent is made specifically for those quite evil Highland midges that you get in Scotland, but it works brilliantly for all other kinds. It's also DEET free as well, which is really good. Other good brands are things like Jungle Formula. Just taking a bit of insect repellent is really nice, especially if you pop it on before you go to bed, because then you don't wake up having your eyelids bitten by a mosquito that's particularly seen you lay in there, which they do that. So yeah, pop a little bit of insect repellent on, find one that works for you, and it will really help. Okay, for number 6, we have an aluminium windbreak. Now these are made for your stove. So if you pop your stove down like that, if it's windy like it is today, great timing, wind. So if it's windy like it is today, when you've got your stove on, the wind's going to blow the flame a lot. It's actually going to use a lot more gas and it won't cook as efficiently. So a cheap aluminium windbreak, and I always go for aluminium one because then it's obviously fireproof. Just pop that around your stove like that. It makes a huge difference. And if I pop my kettle on there, you can see what I mean. The flame is really, really well protected, and you can tuck it around like this. It's a little bit more difficult with the stand on, but it doesn't need to stand up particularly well. And the best thing is you can move it around so that you can block out that wind wherever it's coming from. My wind's coming from that side today. So that'll keep your flame nice and strong and burning, and ensure that you don't use more gas than you need to, and that you can always have a good cup of tea when you need it. Very important. So number 10 on my list is a roll of duct tape. Doesn't matter what colour you get it in, what size you get it in, but pop a little roll of duct tape in your camping box. This can be used to repair holes in tents, holes in airbeds, hold things together. I've actually got duct tape at the moment holding various bits of my microphone in place so that it doesn't fall over in the wind. It's just super useful stuff. It's really cheap, it's easy to pull on and off, and you'll find more uses for it than you could ever imagine when you've got it in your bag. So always carry a roll of duct tape. This is my number 7. So number 7 on my list is a hot water bottle. I know it's a bit of an extra comfort when you're camping, but I always take a hot water bottle with me just to have a little bit of extra warmth in the evening when I snuggle into my sleeping bag. You don't actually have to have a whole hot water bottle. If you've got a metal water carrier, you can fill that up with warm water, stick it in a sock, and it'll do exactly the same thing. So you don't actually have to carry anything extra. But yeah, so for number 7, I'm voting a water bottle. Talking about water bottles, for number 8, I always try and take my water to go bottle with me. These are great because they have an internal filter just here, and this will filter out any bacteria, any rubbish from any water, as long as it's not salt water. So you can fill this up from the standpipe on site, you can fill this up from a service station water, you can even dunk it in a river if you want to. Pop the water in there, screw it up, and then drink out the top, and it's perfectly ready to go. These are great water bottles, especially if you don't know the quality of the water you're going to drink. I've taken this with me to all kinds of places. I even took this with me when I travelled to Ukraine and visited Chernobyl. Although I wouldn't suggest drinking the water from the lake in Chernobyl, but everything apart from salt water and radioactive water, this can do. So if you don't want to take a whole water bottle with you, like the water to go bottle, if you don't want to be limited to just this bottle for your filtration, think about taking a Soya Mini water filter. These fit onto any standard screw top bottle, so a Coke bottle, plastic water bottle, that kind of thing. And they're really, really great. I think they can filter up to around about 10,000 gallons of water, or 100,000, one of the two. So you're probably never going to run out of water. So they do everything from river water, puddle water, and even if you're going to fill it up from the taps in a service station, a Soya Mini is the way to go. Again, I travel with this every single day just to make sure that I've got some way of filtering water on me. And again, it's not for use with salt water or radioactive water, but if you haven't got those two problems, you'll be all right with the Soya Mini as well. Okay, the very last thing, number 10 on my list, is actually a bit of a wild card. Now, if you're not into having a cup of tea or a cup of coffee in the morning, this is probably not going to be for you, but I always take a little bit of dried milk with me. Dried milk's not that great, it doesn't taste great, but it makes a perfect replacement for milk on the Monday morning when your cool box is too warm and your milk's gone curdled. So top tip for this one, pop it into another cup, pop a little spoonful into another cup, put some warm water in it to dissolve it, then put it in your coffee, and it's absolutely fine. Doesn't taste amazing, I probably wouldn't have it on my cereal, but it's a perfect replacement for milk if you can't take milk, or if you're not going somewhere that you can have a cool box with you and you definitely want your cup of coffee in the morning, like me. So yeah, dried milk is my number 10. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop us a like, and if you've got any extras that you normally take with you, drop us a comment below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification button so you always know when we're releasing new videos. And we can't wait to see you on a campsite soon. Bye. And again, they do everything from river water, puddle water, to service station toilet water. No, we're not going to say toilet. Who's ever going to drink toilet water?